Okay. Looks like we are live. Let me get the comment section up. All right. Happy Tuesday and welcome to another live Hamco roundabout. Today's drive around our, so to speak, imaginary roundabout is going to be a fun one. Try to have a little bit of fun each Tuesday that we do these. In our live shows, we talk about things that are happening, fun things that are going on, Hamco, mostly Hamco, and then kind of the surrounding areas. So occasionally I'll talk about things that are happening in Indianapolis or the surrounding areas. But most of the time, if you're new here, we talk about Hamilton County. And so that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about all things Hamilton County. And then towards the end, we talk about the real estate market so that if you're considering a move kind of to or from the area, you have kind of a snippet of what is essentially going on. Today, specifically, though, we're going to be talking about a favorite treat that is coming to Westfield, and then we're going to discuss a little bit about Fisher's expanding, which some people think we don't need to be doing. So I'm going to kind of address that. Carmel is getting a little bit bougier, and so we're going to talk about that. And then if you work in pharmaceuticals, then there's going to be a bunch of new opportunities. So we're going to talk about a couple different topics. That's kind of like my little teaser, so to speak, to try to get you to keep watching. And then, as always, we're going to talk about, like I said, kind of in the intro, we're going to talk about Hamco stats and look at some houses that have hit the market. Today, we're going to be talking about Fishers. And then, as a reminder, please make sure to leave any questions you have in the comments below. And before we dive in, I want to ask where you're watching from. Are you here locally? Are you out of state? I always like to know kind of where people are watching from. So let us dive in and kind of see what the topics are today. First off, we're going to talk about the treat that is coming to Westfield. If you live in Westfield, some people like it to call it Bestfield. I'm not sure if I agree with that. You can decide if it's like the drink is sometimes in the way, but if you know, sometimes I get like a frog in my throat or whatever, so I've got to have my water real close. Today we're going to talk about, or first we're going to talk about something coming to Westfield. So if you live in Westfield and you want ice cream, I will say that ultimately it is a downside if you live in Westfield, because there's not a whole lot of ice cream options, but there's one coming. So I'm going to try to, I got a new computer. So hopefully we can work through kind of the hiccups that we've had in the past. Hopefully nothing will freeze anymore. Little did you know that you need RAM to make sure that all of your things run. And I've been using my old computer for years and it's super slow. So we got a new computer. So hopefully everything will run smoother. But graders, you're like, Cameron, shut up. Tell us about the stories that you have to tell us or the topics. Evie's joining us. Hi, Evie. Oh, no, she joined us and then left. Anyways, graders is coming to Westfield, which is great news because, again, there aren't that many options. I believe there's Handles and then Cold Stone. Those are two locations. But if you're at Grand Park and you want to run and get ice cream real quick, there's not a whole lot of options. You can get ice cream at like Chick-fil-A, stuff like that. But National Ice Cream Retailer Graders will build its next restaurant in Westfield. Westfield's Advisory Plan Commission approved a detailed development plan October 7th for Graders at 303 East Tournament Trail. The plan includes a 3,275 square foot restaurant on just over 1 acre in the downtown crossing planned unit development. Plans include the restaurant, a drive-up window, indoor and outdoor seating, landscaping, and parking. A groundbreaking date has not been released. So I did a little recon and tried to figure out what like ice cream shops there are. Again, like I said, if you're at Grand Park, so say you're visiting or your kids or your nephews and nieces are at Grand Park and there is a game going on and it's a hot day like today, because let's be honest, it is 104. I'm kidding. It feels like 104. I think it feels like 104. It's actually not 104. It is 90 degrees currently right now. I did have a question for those of you that are not from here. Let's say you are from Arizona or Texas or Florida. We're in a heat advisory with it going up to that 90, 92. So does that mean when you live in places like Arizona or Texas or these other places, does that mean you're like in a heat advisory for like months on end? All I know is I'm very thankful for air conditioning. I'm very thankful for my car being able to like stay on. It's one of the reasons why I love having an electric car, is because I can say, keep the cool air going in my car so that when I leave and come back, I love these things. If I lived in Arizona or Texas or any of those other places, 100% would even love my car even more. Anyways, on a day like today, and your kids or your family or friends or whoever are at Grand Park and you want ice cream, you'd have to drive further. And so when I saw this, I got really excited because my son, our oldest, is obsessed with ice cream. He even sent me a text the other day that because he doesn't feel good. And he was like, hey, I saw that if I have ice cream, it'll help my throat. And I'm like, buddy, I mean, it might help your throat from a cold perspective, but milk and sugar are not. I digress. Anyways, he could eat ice cream every single day of his life. It's his probably favorite dessert. And Graders is really good. And what I think is there's a difference between Graders and Handles and Cold Stone, right? Cold Stone, they put the ice cream on the stone and they kind of mix it. So if you're, I'm curious, actually leave a comment in the comment section. Are you a Cold Stone, a Graders, or Handles? Now, Handles, I don't believe is national. Graders, I think it is. But Handles is kind of a local. They started, I want to say it was Ohio or Illinois, but now that I'm saying it, it could be Kentucky. Clearly, I need my details because I don't have all of my details. Anyways, Handles there's a Handles that's in downtown Fishers that's been here forever, and Handles is probably one of our favorites. But Graders is really good. And so if you're again at a soccer field or a baseball field and you want ice cream, Graders is coming to Westfield. I'm actually really excited about that. I know it's super cheesy, but I'm excited about it. Okay, next topic is, I think I might have figured out how to do this, you guys. I'm working on it. I'm trying to get, no. See, I just tell you that and then I made a mistake. Okay. I'm learning the system, you guys, and I get really excited when I'm learning this system so that I can get better at this for the people who are watching, you that are watching. Okay. The next topic is Fishers annexation. Okay. So here's what's interesting. Fishers is a large landmass. And every time they annex certain areas, that means more parcels that become part of Fishers. So I saw that recently 960 parcels and 3,000 residents have been added to the city of Fishers. On June 5th, it was completed the annexation of 960 parcels in southeastern Hamilton County, added about 300 residents. The annexation process began in the summer of 2024, and it finally happened this year. And the annexation includes the area roughly inside 113th Street to the north, the Hamilton-Madison-Hancock County line to the east, the Rosanna Village subdivision and parcels west of Flat Fork Park on the southern border, and Cynthian Road, Luxhaven subdivision, and Geist Park on the western border. This area was an unincorporated portion of Hamilton County where Fishers already had zoning jurisdiction, okay, providing sanitary sewer service and provided fire and EMS response to residents via a contract with Fall Creek Township. Additional city services available to those residents now include Fishers Parks programming and facility discounts, Fishers Health Department engineering, which includes road, bridge, and sidewalk maintenance, and Fishers Police Department responses. Starting in the fall, additional services will include snow removal, pothole and road repair, and right-of-way maintenance starting in January 2026. Remaining services will be added, such as citywide trash pickup and stormwater services. So the interesting part is the people here, they were already part of Hamilton Southeastern School District, let's call it, part of Fishers, right? But now they're annexed and have all of those benefits. And I'm curious if any of you viewers live in this area. I'm always curious to see, like, is that a benefit or is that a downside? I would tell you, especially from a road construction perspective with road work and potholes and all of that crap. To be unincorporated, then there isn't a priority to fix those roads. So I have noticed when you go on certain areas in Hamilton County, let's call it Fishers because we're talking about Fishers mostly here. When you drive on some of those roads, when they're not annexed, it's part of a different area. And so there's more potholes. And potholes are really bad. It's kind of like Indianapolis. If you drive in downtown Indianapolis, you know that ultimately the amount of potholes and or road work that needs to be done is through the roof. It honestly, it's an issue. But I learned the other day, part of that is because the government only gives a certain amount of money for the roads, and you could be a 5-lane one-way road, or like that was a little extreme, Cameron. 5 lanes. Okay, let's call it 2 lanes instead of 1 lane going both ways. If it's 2 lanes, you get the same amount of money for a 1, a 2, or a 3 lane. And so there's so many more roads and road miles in Indianapolis. They're not getting the money, right? Whereas in Hamilton County, they might. So that's one of the things with this, plus with, Fishers now has where the trash essentially is included. Well, let's be honest. Us taxpayers are still paying for it. It's not technically included. Anyways, sorry, I just pushed a button. And so that's one of those things where now, since they're annexed in, they would be able to take advantage of those features. So I thought that was interesting. At first, when you read an article, like my first response was 960. Why are we adding more people to our city? Well, that's not really the case, right? You kind of have to understand the details to know these people were already part of our area in the sense of they were going to Hamilton Southeastern schools. But now they're part of it. So really interesting. I was kind of excited about that. Again, seeing the difference of annexed versus non-annexed. I think the people, some want to be, some don't. I will say how this does affect them is from what I understand, and I guess I maybe could be wrong here. Probably should do a little bit of research or maybe not say this at all. I'm going to say it anyways because I tend to do that. Fishers, I said a couple weeks ago or a couple episodes ago about Fishers changing where the neighborhoods could have 10%. So I'm curious, when you annex new neighborhoods in, does that now apply? I actually have had this question a couple of times because we have a listing that we met with the other day. They are in Noblesville. So I'm looking into this. They are in Noblesville. They're Hamilton Southeastern School District, but they're Noblesville from a address perspective. So they might not be affected by the fact that Fishers has done that change of like 10%. right? We don't know yet if Noblesville is going to take that same and follow what Carmel followed Fisher. So I don't know if Noblesville or Westfield are going to jump on the bandwagon. But I'm curious from that aspect because it was a Fisher's thing. Again, my question is, does that include annexed areas like this that you see here? Does that include that area? Does it not include that area? So yeah, anyways, things to kind of keep an eye on and things that anytime I have a question like that, I don't know everything. And so sometimes I need to do a little bit of digging and working. I like to dig and work and try to find those things out. And so I'm going to reach out to the city and determine how that plays out, right? So that I can, again, advise my clients appropriately. Okay. The next topic, I'm going to shrink this down a little bit, actually, you guys. The next topic that we have is an expansion. When I said that Carmel's getting more bougie, one of my all-time favorite hotels that I actually tell people that they should stay at, the Carmichael, if you're not familiar with it. The Carmichael is near the city center, the Palladium, Civic Theater. So that whole area, the Carmichael sits kind of in all of that. Something wrong? Sorry, Adam looked at me and is like questioning something. So I question. Is that better? Is my audio off? Is that better? Okay. Anyways, the Carmichael is one of my favorite hotels. Even if you live here locally, Adam and I, a few years back, this was probably 2 years ago, we went on a date night where the kids were taken care of. We went and stayed at the Carmichael for a night. It was right at the beginning of Chris Kindle Market, which Chris Kindle Market is an amazing event that Carmel, a non-for-profit actually, that Carmel's involved in that is right at that city center area. I just spit on myself. That was gross. Anyways, the Carmichael, if you get a room that is facing, which when you book your room, ask if it faces Chris Kindle Market. If you're coming in October, November, I think it starts in November actually. They are expanding. And so the high-end hotel, Carmichael and Carmel, is undergoing an expansion to add 60 rooms, which I have no clue how they're going to add that. And in my mind, I thought about that. I was like, that whole area, I will admit, one of the downsides of that area is it's kind of congested. It's one of the coolest areas to walk around. And even the Palladium puts like these projections up on the building. It really is one of the coolest little areas. But to add 60 rooms, a ballroom, an executive boardroom, the city announced on Wednesday. Now, Carmel-based development firm Pedcore Coast plans to spend $10 million to $15 million to expand the hotel across 4 floors on the north end of the new Wren building, which is attached to Hotel Carmichael. The expansion project will increase the hotel from 122 rooms to 182 rooms. And yeah, I mean, it goes on to talk about stuff, but I wanted to look at the pictures. So we took friends of ours to the Carmichael. One of our friends actually sings and does events in the basement. I think I've said this on one of my other lives, but Ryan Allwer, amazing individual, and his wife, who is a good friend of mine, Lauren, do events in the bottom at Feinstein in the Carmichael. Again, date night. Stay at the Carmichael, do a Feinstein's event, go to Cake Bake, get some cake. Amazing, like Disney-like restaurant right around the corner. There's shopping. There's a charcuterie location right around the corner. Anyways, it is such a cool venue. Well, we walked in and she was like, oh my gosh, what is that smell? And I was like, that's the Carmichael smell, which you can purchase a candle and have the Carmichael smell. And so it's kind of this bougie hotel that it just is a vibe. There's a piano bar on the first floor with like a bar and like library. Anyway, so the rooms are they're luxury. They exude luxury. I just love it. It's such a fun hotel because we don't have a lot of hotels like that, especially in like Hamilton County. We have a few of those in downtown, right? Along Mass Ave, stuff like that. So there are definitely hotels that are kind of like this in downtown Indianapolis, but in Hamilton County, we don't have that many. We are getting that style of hotel. There is an AR, which is a new style of hotel. It's the first one in Indiana. It's going to be built in Fishers, around that, around the yard. And so I'm excited that they're growing. Clearly, they need more rooms. And the pictures, like, look at this. It's just so this is the Adagio Lounge, if I said that right, will be expanded at Hotel Carmichael. So they're going to expand that little room that is off of the entry, like when you walk in and to the left. They're going to kind of redo that. There's going to be a boardroom. That's super cool. So like if you have companies that are coming in or people are visiting, you can meet at the boardroom. That's pretty much it. Anyways, I love it. I think it's great, especially with the Center for the Performing Arts right there. The Monon Trail, like you can jump on the Monon, it goes right by it. And so there's just so much right there, so close. I will say if you're going and it's the first time or you only have one time to go, I love it at night. All the lights are up. The bronze sculptures that are around that area are super cool. And it's just a vibe. If you haven't been or you haven't walked in that area, essentially from the like arts and design district, I talk about Bub's Burgers a lot, but like from that section to the Palladium section, like that whole strip is just along the Monon. It's I think it's one of the best local things to come and visit. So anyways, luxury travel magazine named Hotel Carmichael the 2025 best luxury boutique hotel in Indiana. So there you go. Like it's just so cool. So there you go. That was kind of our topic number 3, so to speak. The next topic is I mentioned that if you're in pharmaceuticals, so Roche Diagnostic, Indianapolis and or this area is known for the pharmaceutical companies. We're not California. I know we don't have, everything that California has, but we do have Carmel. Theirs is Carmel. Ours is Carmel. Caramel. Carmel. Now I can't even think of it. Caramel? It's like the chewy thing. Caramel, is that how California says it? I think that is. Except I'm questioning myself right now. Caramel. Anyways, Carmel. Thanks, Adam. Carmel. We're Carmel. We're just Carmel. It's kind of like the Midwestern way to say it. We can't Carmel. Anyways, okay. It's not even in Carmel. I don't even know why I went there because it has nothing to do with Carmel. Anyways, I digress. A lot of pharmaceutical companies are actually coming to Fishers. Fishers has had a focus on trying to bring pharmaceutical companies to the area, but we are known for it because Eli Lilly is downtown. Roche is technically on the border of Indianapolis and Fishers. They have a huge facility and they're growing. So Roche Diagnostic is investing up to $550 million in Indianapolis, adding hundreds of local jobs. So Roche said Monday it plans to invest up to $550 and add hundreds of jobs over the next 5 years at its Indianapolis-based diagnostic unit. The Swiss pharmaceutical and diagnostic giant said the move will establish the Indiana-based Roche Diagnostics 9115 Hague Road. That's where it's like 96th Street and Hague Road. So again, it's Indianapolis, but it's on the border of Fishers. So we have a lot. I mean, a lot. Fishers has a lot of people that live in Fishers and or Carmel. when you move here, just so you know, I do tell people when they call me and they're like, we're looking at Carmel. And I have to break it to you. It's Carmel. It's just like Carmel. Anyways, because you'll sound like you're not from here. Not that that matters. If you want to sound like you're not from here, that's fine. Call it Carmel. But we all call it bland old Carmel. Anyways, a lot of people move to Hamilton County and work at Roche. So I can just see a flood of even more people moving to the area that potentially work with other pharmaceutical companies and want to move here to the Indy area and live in Hamilton County. For all the awesomeness that it is, especially with schools and safety and all of the things, right? People want to move to Hamilton County. And Roche is growing by leaps and bounds. And so I found this to be great news for our area, and really developing that section of Roche. So just kind of goes on to talk about the company and where it's investing in response to like the growing need, and having that ability. I have many friends that work at Roche, again, that live in Hamilton County. So great news, and welcome to Hamilton County if you're a Roche employee. Okay, actually, let's take a break real quick. I want to essentially take a break more to just be able to say, one, thank you for being a viewer of our channel. Thank you for, sticking with us and watching. If you haven't watched any of our videos, make sure to go back and watch our videos. I want questions ultimately, because if I get questions, then I can answer those and try to help you through that process. So again, thank you. The next segment is maybe not as fun. I think it's fun, but not everybody thinks it's fun, which is fine. We talk about roundabouts a lot on this channel, partially because, well, our show is called Hamco Roundabout. And so we want to make sure that people know about what roundabouts are coming or changing, or in this case, we are getting new artwork, or a sculpture. So one of the unique things in Carmel versus Fisher's doesn't really do this. I think there's some that have kind of a unique feature about them, but Carmel really, well, I think they're probably at 100. I think they're up to like 175 to 200 roundabouts, and they're popping up everywhere. They do sculptures. We actually have a local friend that is an artist who's a metallurgist. I think that's maybe how you would say it. But he designs artwork. Now, this one, he's not doing this one, but Carmel likes to have kind of a local artist. I don't know if they're all local artists, but they have artwork designed and then put in the middle of their roundabouts. If you're new here and you haven't watched any of my channel, then I recommend that you do go watch some of them, because I talk about one roundabout sculpture that is graphic. I'll let you find that in one of our videos. Anyways, it's quite funny. I actually love it. And at one point in time, I didn't even know where it was, and I had to go search it out because somebody made a comment that we were like, hey, we have blank. And I was like, we do not. That's not a thing. And sure enough, it's a thing. It's a body part that has hair on it. I'll leave it at that. Anyways, this one is right by the library. So taking flight, and some of them are themed depending on where they are located. So like 96th Street, we like to call it Car Alley, or really not Car Alley, but like dealership alley, because along 96th Street is pretty much like all the dealerships. I think almost every city has that, right? Like all the dealerships just like build right next to each other. Anyways, all of those are kind of car themes. Like there's some that are Indy 500. There's some that are like a vintage old like car. Anyways, this one's by the library. Fitting. Weird. It's a book themed sculpture. It's currently being installed, so I think they have it blocked off. You can't even drive that route right now, but they They titled it Taking Flight. The contract with Studio KCA was approved by the Carmel Development Commission in November of 2023. That's how long it's taken, you guys. They approved it in 2023 and in November, and it's now June of 2025. It's crazy how long it can take, right? You would think it's approved and then it would go up a couple months later. But this person, the mayor, this random person. Anyways, what better way to highlight Carmel's commitment to public art and education than with this sculpture? It not only showcases two of our prominent educational landmarks, but also creates a striking gateway to our arts and design district. This one's wild. It's a sculpture created from steel, aluminum, and LED with a reinforced concrete footing, stands approximately 20 feet tall and 12 feet in diameter. It depicts an upsweep of books taking flight, a fitting image given its intentional placement at the roundabout in front of the Carmel Public Library and Carmel High School. Artist Jason I'm sorry, Jason, I feel like I'm going to butcher your name. Klimovsky explains that the sculpture opens the concept of a portal, which includes an endless range of learning materials and assets going beyond just the recognizable style of books. Anyways, and it kind of talks about his selection and his talents and anything like that. But I just thought that was so cool. And I love libraries. My friends actually made fun of me because I love libraries, but I tend to use the apps. So Hamilton County has or at least Fishers. So Fishers has two libraries because it's the Fishers in Noblesville library. They have where you can download books for audio or for Kindle. And I used to love holding a book, but then I realized when I went on vacation, I didn't want to take a bunch of books and I just wanted to hold my Kindle and just tap it to kind of like swipe the page, right? And so I never really had I don't go into the library all that often. I really should. Anyways, and hopefully I won't get in trouble. I was using my husband's library card because it was like, if I don't go in, I can just use his account and all that. Well, I didn't have a library card. So one of my good friends and I were like, let's stop by the library. And I was like, I should probably get a library card. I now have my own library card. So hopefully I guess you can't go backwards. And what are they going to do to me if I use my husband's? Anyways, I still lived here. But I digress. So now I have my own library card. I got really excited. I know that's super cheesy, but I was really excited. And I love this. I love that Carmel takes a moment, looks back at things and says, let's do a sculpture, not just throw trees like Fishers does. Sorry, Fishers, we're lame. I mean, Noblesville and Westfield are lame too, because I don't think they're doing structures. But I love that Carmel just takes that extra step and says, let's do something unique. Let's find, an artist that clearly this artist really cares about what he's producing and has a lot of thought in what he's, putting as a sculpture. And they're just kind of fun to drive by and see versus, again, a tree or rocks. My only question, though, is, I hate to say this, there are so many different ways to drive on a roundabout. Roundabouts are tough, you guys. Some you have to go straight. Like we're teaching our son right now. He's in driver's ed. And we have to kind of tell him, you have to look at the sign before you enter a roundabout because you need to know what lane is going to do what, because if you don't, then you're stuck and people are honking at you and you're like panicking. I even sometimes do that because when new roundabouts pops up, I'm like, I don't know. Anyways, so the question is, how long until somebody isn't paying attention and drives right into this sculpture? I hope never, but it is super cool. Anyway, so there's your roundabout news from the Hamco Roundabout live talk. Okay, next we're going to jump into stats. So if you are thinking about moving here, exploring, don't forget to leave if you're watching. I can't even see if people are watching. I just sit here and ramble for an hour. So, hi, you're welcome. I can't deny I do like to talk. Anyways, the next portion is kind of the stats. I get super giddy about this stuff. I love statistics. I like looking at data. I wouldn't say that like I do like a good spreadsheet, but I don't put everything into a spreadsheet. I like to kind of like digest it and then just keep it up there. So if you ask me, I'll just regurgitate a bunch of numbers, or as Adam would say, I might give you the wrong numbers because I'll transpire them a different way. Anyways, that's why I do go back. Like if you ask me to specifically look at data, then I'm gonna show you the data versus just regurgitating it. Anyways, transponding, is that a thing? Transponding. If you're new here, I say words that mean nothing. Absolutely. Transpire, transponding. He's laughing at me. You're allowed to laugh at me. I laugh at myself many, many days. None of the words are right. You're welcome. Okay. So anyways, we're looking at data. Last week I was running out of time. I had an appointment. So if you watched a couple weeks ago and I rushed through it, I just want to tell you I'm sorry because I had to go real quickly because I had to leave. I'm trying to get better at making sure to kind of like track my time on these so that I am here for an hour and you know how long I'm here and then I leave. So I didn't really go into the data as much. Now, I'm not going to go into a bunch of data when it comes to Marion County. If you can see this shows, so this is May 2025 market review. It's 17 counties. So this is all of what's called MIBOR, the Metropolitan Indianapolis Board of Realtors. Okay. So that is Indianapolis and about 2 donuts worth outside. That's how big MIBOR goes, right? And so that's the data that they're pulling from. This is not all of Indiana. This is just what's within our BLC, so to speak. That's what you want to call it. This is all counties. I don't look at all county all that often because that's a wide range. I like to go a little bit more granular. And so typically when I go to look at data, Indianapolis being the major metropolitan area, it's good to kind of get a baseline on what Marion County is. So I usually will delete this, go down to Marion and start with what is Marion County. So Marion County median price, 259,000, which that blows my mind for Marion County, but part of me loves it as well. It's up. So I look at multiple things. This is compared to 2024 May. This is compared to April. So you have a year and you have last month. Okay. So it is up from last year and it's up from last month. 1,200 closings, again, up from year and month. Days on market, 12. This is actually, if you're new here, I kind of explain this I try to explain this each time for people who are kind of new to our channel, but 12 days, when it says it's up, that actually means down because it's kind of confusing because you actually want the days on market to be lower, not higher. And so this is actually lower, not higher, right? Because you can see here in January, it was 42 days. List price received. So we talk about that a lot when I meet with sellers of like, if you list your house, sorry, you guys, my nose is itching. If you list your house, what is a percentage that you're getting to list price? That's what this is. So 98.7% to list price, which that's actually pretty high for Marion County. This is where data shows we're in a seller's market, but I will tell you, from a buyer's market, I think I mentioned this 2 weeks ago as well. From a buyer's market, buyers are getting really picky, partially because I think this is where it's at. Buyers have been waiting, right? A lot of buyers, or at least my buyers, I have a list of buyers that have just been kind of waiting. Some of them have to sell. Some of them don't have to sell. They've been waiting for the market to shift. And so waiting longer doesn't matter to them, right? The ones that need to move will move. But there's tons, so many buyers that are in the market. They're like, if the right house hits the market. So those houses that if it's the right house and it hits the market and it is move-in ready, really clean, ready to go, like buyers will pop, right? They'll jump and make an offer. On the downside, that's why it kind of feels like a buyer's market, because there's a lot of buyers, but they're super picky, which they kind of can be because they've been waiting and they're going to continue to wait until the right property hits the market. So that's why you're seeing actually you're seeing a higher days on market, even though I know it appears that it's lower. Anyways, 98% is pretty good. I don't really look, here's the thing, square footage. My dad was an appraiser for 13 years. He taught me what I know when it comes to appraising or pulling comparable market homes. I like to say there's competition and there's comparison. So when I meet with our sellers, we discuss that. What's a comp, and then what's competition, right? So comparable, competition, COMP, same, right? But they mean two totally different things. A buyer's really only going to start looking at active homes. So that's competition or your competition. But yet, once they go to make an offer, they want the comparisons or the comps to be able to determine what the value is. So we talk about all of that when we meet with our clients, because you need to understand the difference. And that's how we strategize on how to kind of approach the market when you're listing a home. And so square footage, at the end of the day, hopefully you understand this. If you have a 5,000 square foot home and another 5,000 square foot home, and they're in two totally different style neighborhoods, one's custom, one's a track builder, right? Like price per square foot are going to be totally different on those two properties. So price per square foot is a variable that, yes, we look into, but I don't put a lot of weight on it because it's a variable and there are differences. New listings, active inventory. So that kind of shows you like how many new listings were there last month, how many total active inventory was there. That's why I kind of compare the closed sales to the new listings, which also gives you your month supply of inventory. So that's actually up at 1.8. That's a trend that we're starting to see. I don't think that's going away. I think we're going to get more inventory because buyers are a little bit pickier. And so that's where that pendulum is swinging. But that was Marion. My last thing that I always look at, because we are Hamilton County, and so I like to know what Hamilton County is doing. So Hamilton County, 464. So you can see we're definitely more expensive in Hamilton County than in Marion. 650, a lot more houses in Indianapolis than there are in Hamilton County, but we're still up on both of those. Days on market is 7. Again, we've been kind of sitting in that 6 or 7 since March. So we're not moving a whole lot there. 99.3%. That's where a lot of people would say we are still in a seller's market, because 99.3 is really high. I mean, that's decent. And it's showing that it's down from last month, right? Because it was 99.3. Well, we're the same. It says 0.0, but like we were at 99, 98.9, right? January 98.1. Again, price per square foot. I almost wish they would delete it. I mean, I know it is a data point that's good, but 839 listings with the active inventory of 911, 615 sold, and we're at 1.5. But see how that's increasing. In March, we were at 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. And I predict that that's going to continue to rise as we go on along the months. And we talk about that with all of our sellers of what that looks like. So that's Hamilton County. And then if you want to go even more granular, you can look at Delaware, Fall Creek, and Wayne. That will give you Fishers. Okay. So Fishers is the one that it's like got 3 and it's weird. Whereas if you look at Carmel, it's Clay. And so you can see that's lower than the Hamilton County numbers, right? 420, still 7 days, and 1.8 So we're even higher than just Hamilton County. So the reason I wanted to show you Fishers is because we're going to look at Fishers homes. So the first one we're going to look at, which I'm really excited about, our last one that I'm going to show you. So make sure to keep watching. Our first one we're going to show you, I always kind of like to show you the baseline or the lowest, or the least, not the lowest, the least expensive home. This currently sits as the least expensive home that you can search. Now, again, if you're new here, whenever you set up a search, I always recommend all clients to search by school district. Typically, the majority, I would say, of people are looking at a school district, partially because of resale value. They want a good area, whatever that looks like, right? If you search just Fishers, then you're going to miss pockets or areas, even like that annexed area, that it's not a Fishers city address like this one. It's in Noblesville, but it doesn't go to Noblesville schools. It goes to Fishers. We have one of those, like I said, that listing that I was just talking about that's coming to the market in a few weeks. It is a Noblesville address, but it's a Hamilton Southeastern School District property. And so that makes a difference, right? We like to market that it's an HSE school property versus a Noblesville. Because if I showed you, actually, if I go back here and we click, so that was Hamilton, or that's Fishers, right? 420. If I take these off and I go Noblesville, now it's 413. Now, is that a big difference? $7,000? No, it's not a big difference, but that's something to keep in mind to kind of know what those numbers are, right? So that you can kind of, and this is actually even down, it's at 1.4. So things might be moving a little bit faster in Noblesville. All data that it's good to track on a week by week basis for sellers. Anyways, I'm going to go back to this house. So I thought this was really cute. I mean, you can get into a house in Fishers for $245,000. It's, you know, it's cute. It's new, not new. It is fresh and clean, move-in ready. It looks like it's got, you know, fresh carpet, fresh paint, tile floors, open kitchen. You kind of got that ledge, which you can even extend that ledge and have bar stools there if you wanted to give you some extra room. Did they upgrade the countertops? Those countertops look like a solid surface countertop, which is great. When this house was built, it had laminate countertops. So that's an extra bonus. This is probably the pantry. They don't have any words down here. I like to add words so that you kind of know what it is. This is probably the pantry off the garage when you walk in. That looks potentially like the primary, secondary. Nope, this is still primary. Closet, secondary bedroom, third bedroom, I'm guessing here. Bathroom, but it looks really cute. This is your back patio. So you know, when you're in this price point, there are some things that you're missing, right? You don't have a garage, or you don't have a backyard, because the garage, this is an alley product, which is great for, like, I can think of a lot of people that this would, like a traveling nurse. If you don't want to maintain your property, you want to have a house, but you don't want to specifically have to maintain the yard as much, you probably could find somebody like a landscaper that could take care of this for you. But great little property. So again, some of the things I always like to look at, which I didn't get to talk about. It also has been on the market for 28 days. So that means maybe there's a little bit of wiggle room. I always, if you use us, I don't care who you use, but if you call us and have us kind of help you, I'm going to look at the data to see, okay, how many days on the market has it been? The original list price you can see was $245. So they haven't dropped the price. They're probably, trying to hold off. 28 days isn't that long. But hey, if you can use it as a bargaining tool of, like, you've been on the market for a while, that doesn't always work, but it's there. Those are all strategies that we kind of talk through. I look at location. So what I love about this location is this. You are within literally minutes from Hamilton Town Center. Hamilton Town Center, this is a movie theater. You've got Culver's, ice cream shop. Culver's, not an ice cream shop. Sorry, burger place that has ice cream. I was thinking Handles. I don't know why I said Culver's and then ice cream. Handles is right over here. Cabela's, if you're like a hunter. It's an outdoor mall. Ruoff Music Center, if you love outdoor concerts and you're like, I want to be close to where I can go to all of the concerts at Ruoff, this is just such a great location right down the street. Down here, there is Costco, a Chick-fil-A is right here. They just opened a Dutch Bros Coffee. Like it just, you guys, such a great location. Okay. So that's kind of that 245 price point. I jumped a little bit higher because I liked this next property because again, it's in another really great location. Plus, when you're in Fishers, there are 2 different high schools. So it depends on what high school you want. And I think sometimes when you're in the higher price point, so this is kind of an insider tip with Fishers, if you are in the higher price point, so I'm going to call that the 600 and up, especially once you get to the million price point, there's just not that many homes in the Fishers High School, like area versus the Hamilton Southeastern. But if you want Fishers High School, some examples as to why you might want Fishers High School. They have the International Baccalaureate. Now, technically, if you're at Hamilton Southeastern, you can bus over or your kid can drive to be in the International Baccalaureate. They have a traveling show choir, a competitive show choir. So like if your kid is really into theater and or choir, I personally would recommend you look at Fishers High School versus HSE. Not that HSE doesn't have choirs, they just don't have competitive choirs. So that's something. And I would do a little bit of research on like what sports you want. If you're swimming, right? I'm going to say that currently right now, Fishers has the better swim program. So these are all things that you want to explore and look at, but like HSE, which I'll get to, because the next property is HSE, they have like a welding program. They have, they probably like the girls track team, they're better. So it just depends on like what you're looking at, where you think your kid or, what you want to support. You just kind of look at the 2 different sides and determine what's going to be a good fit for you. And so finding a higher end home in Fishers High School is a little bit harder, but here's one. So this one is in the community Anderson Hall. It's listed for $709,900, 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, 4,000 square feet. It is fresh and clean, move-in ready. I do love when a realtor puts in good, strong pictures. It looks like these are HDR photography. And so I love this. It's, it still has an office. It looks like it has a dining room. And look at this. It has descriptions on the bottom. Congratulations to this realtor for doing their full job and like actually putting all this in there. It does take time, but I think it's worth it because you can kind of know where things are. So primary bedroom, dual vanities. I love descriptions of what it is. That's just me personally, because I think the more data you can give, the better. That looked like his and hers closets. Did you notice that? So that's primary closet 1, primary closet 2, like his and hers closets. And then you have the bedrooms. And then for this property, you also have a finished basement. And it looks like there was a bathroom. Yep, full bath in the basement. And then you have a great backyard space like that. Paver patio, pergola, with a kind of fireplace. That's kind of a cool fireplace. I like that. And it's fenced. This is such a great property. Again, I'm gonna, once we get back to the front, so see, and this neighborhood, they have a lot of side load. They have kind of 2 sections. So they have, what I love about this community, they have side load garages, they have front load garages, and they even have alleyway property as well. Properties, it's its own little section. But it brings variety. They've got a neighborhood pool. I don't know if they show that. Anyways, I'm going to scroll down because I wanted to show you location. Again, location I feel like is really important because although you live in your house, you want to know where everything else is. So remember that house that I showed you that was on Maryland, which is right here? This is also close to Hamilton Town Center. So right around the corner. So maybe 5 minutes. But then also, if I scroll out a little bit, this is downtown Fishers. So you're maybe 10 minutes to downtown Fishers. So a fabulous location for a house, 709,000. I think this is priced where it needs to be. This is a good one, and I have a feeling it's probably going to go pretty quickly. Okay, last but not least is this beauty. Now, this is in Bridgewater. Now, there's Bridgewater Westfield, and there's Bridgewater Fishers, not a Fishers address, Indianapolis address, but Hamilton Southeastern School District, HSE High School. And if you actually want to tour this home, then make sure to subscribe to our channel because I toured this house today. We're going to do a walkthrough where I talk about all of the things. So I'm not going to show a whole lot because if you are more interested, you can watch our video that we're going to post on Thursday. This is a great property. It's remodeled. It has, I mean, it's just great. 1.85 for this house, 5 bedrooms, 5.5 baths, 7,400 square feet. And you guys, this is on actually Bridgewater Island. It's the only island that I know of. There aren't very many islands. We don't even have very many lakes. This is actually on a reservoir lake. And it's on Geist. So you have Geist views from almost every single room, which is amazing. And it's just this little pocket of homes on a cul-de-sac. So you can kind of see it's a cul-de-sac. And look, this is actually a cove and you drive your boat around. So this is a no wake, but it's right around the corner from main body. So you don't have a long wake. Like there's some areas on the other side of Geist where you have a wake where it's going to take you 20 to 30 minutes to kind of like pedal along to get to the main body. Whereas this is literally, it's like right here, right around the corner. So like you drive around to right here. It's such a cool property, you guys. I really loved touring this. I think they did a great job on the renovations. There's always things that you would change or do differently. Again, I'm not going to show you all of it because I want you to come back and watch my video on Thursday. But let's look at location again, because I think location is really important. So see how you have to drive over. It's not a bridge. They've kind of, it's like, there's not an under part per se, but like there's a street that you drive over and it's this little island, Bridgewater Island. Little did we know we have islands in Indiana. But you can see right here, Wolfie's Grill is right here. And if I don't know if I can zoom in, if it will actually tell me more restaurants. No, it doesn't. But right here is Puccini's. There is a hair salon. I actually think there's also like a yoga or a Pilates. If there isn't, there's one over here by Brooks School. This whole section right here. Geist Coffee is right here. Indianapolis Yacht Club, if you're a yacht owner. I don't even know if that's a thing, a yacht owner. Anyways, we're not on the ocean, but I don't know. Clearly you can tell that I don't do boats because I'm a yacht. Like you're not going to have a yacht on Geist. Okay. Anyways, it is the Indianapolis Yacht Club. I actually have heard they have amazing events. People love it. You can actually have your boat there if you don't live on a place like this house on Bridgewater Island that has its own boat dock. You can actually, if you don't live there, you can get a boat dock. Now you have to go on a list because there's a waiting list. Anyways, I digress. If you have questions, let me know. I can kind of walk you through all that. But it's such a great location because you're so close to just tons of shopping and dining. If I zoom out just a little bit more, this is Olio. Okay. So if you want to go to Fox Garden, there's a Kroger right here, but yet you're on this side of Geist, let's call it west side of Geist. So to get, this is Fall Creek and it just wraps around and you can go down 96th Street. There's a Meijer here. You can go down to 82nd Street. I love Sargent Road and all of this area right here to kind of drive around, but you can get to Castleton Mall. So like it is a prime location when it comes to being on Geist, having it be on the water with views from pretty much every direction, and also being Hamilton Southeastern School District. So, anyways, I digress. I think it's a great location. I think that if you're in that price point, you're wanting to be on Geist, great property. And because it's so neutral with how they've designed everything, you can really go in and kind of put your touch, add colors, change what you want to change, all that. Anyways, there you go. That's kind of our tour of our so-called roundabout, our like, I don't know what you want to call it. I can't even come up with the words, but that's what we do every week, every other week, actually, on Tuesdays at 2 o'clock. So if you want more information, have questions, want to explore other areas. Again, we focused on Fishers, but there's other areas that we can, work on or look at. Then we can do that, send a message in the comment, or call, text, or email me. And we can even set up a time to jump on a Zoom or a call just to kind of explore what you're looking at, what you need. If you're looking at selling, we can talk about what that looks like. We have a whole, marketing plan, and we strategize and all that. So hopefully you enjoyed today's live. And I guess we'll catch you in the next one. Bye. Bye. I love saying bye. Bye.